Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back again here, G, on the Hildebrand Lifestyle channel. Just wanted to, just kind of kick it to you and talk to you a little bit off the cuff. Nothing too formal, but just to keep on the same path that I usually talk about on this channel. So on this channel, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about exploring, learning, and growing. And, I like to share different places I visit here on the channel, talk about enlightenment, growth, development, and as well as art. So, I always talk about how art is all around us. Right now, I'm kind of like chilling in front of the pool table. I like to shoot pool. Back from where I'm from, we call it stick. We like to shoot stick. Yeah, so, just the design of the pool table, how it's designed, how it's crafted and all that. These are the things that I'm talking about when I talk about like how design is all around us and how artists have taken the time. I mean, this is a game that's played worldwide professionally, but it also took like artists and engineers to put together like the pool tables that, you see the sharks play on, pool sharks, right? I love it. It's a fascinating game. And, it has a lot to do with geometry, understanding the angles, you know what I'm saying? For those of you who play pool, who like to shoot pool. Yeah, it's one of my favorite games for pastime. I know in this day and age, it's a lot of the video games, but I still like to, do things, I guess the old-fashioned way, right? Actually play on the actual pool table, not on the video game. But again, that's art and design as well, right? I mean, someone had to design the game, someone has to design, the user interface, which is another thing that I specialize in designing as well. For many years, I worked as a UX, UI designer, so I totally understand design from that perspective. And creating like user interfaces for individuals to be more interactive with gaming. But when I talk about design, I like to really emphasize the thinking behind design. Not so much of this is the final product, but there's a thought process that has to go in place before this actually became a reality. And I like to tap into some of that sometimes, because even with the I'm grabbing a stick now. Like even with the sticks, that was actually designed to use to be able to play the game. There's a thinking process that goes behind that as well, right? From a design perspective, all of these things have to be taken into consideration when you're actually coming up with a design project. And a lot of people just they look at the end result and be like, wow, that's cool, right? But the thinking that goes behind it, the discipline, the long hours that it takes to concentrate on developing something of this magnitude is phenomenal. And that's what I want to talk about, going into the state of like a monk mind state, right? Like you actually, when you're in the process of creating something, you go through a lot of different mental changes, right? It's more of a mentality, because you have to tap into a different energy when you're creating something. It's not the same as playing the game itself, right? But understanding the mathematics on how high or how low the table needs to be in order for it to just to be interactive. So all of these elements play a part. And a lot of times you have to zone out as an artist to tap into like, what are all the elements needed in order to make this possible? It's the same thing with UX UI design, right? When we talk about the components, a lot of the components are I'll break it down even further. So when I'm talking about design components, I'm talking about the buttons that you actually click. We call those components in the UX UI design. For those who are not familiar with, UX means user experience and user interface. So when I say UX UI, that UX means user experience and the UI means user interface. The interface is actually what you use to actually press the buttons on your phone or computer. That's the user interface. The user experience is holistic, right? That's what happens from the time you turn on your computer, the screen lights up, and then, you know, that becomes part of the user experience. And then you can get into the actual application. But to make a long story short, I didn't want to get too much into that particular design process, but it's part of what we're talking about, right? So even with the stick, right? From the time that you pick the stick up, the weight of the stick, the way you have to hold the stick, all this is a part of a user experience, part of a design user experience. And that's some of the things that designers have to think about when we're creating. It's not something that the user actually really thinks about, right? Because you just pick it up, you use it, you're familiar with it, right? But before this became a reality, it was an idea, it was a dream, it was a fantasy of some sort, right? So artists, engineers, and architects, we have to come together and make this a reality. And I'm just talking about the process of how this becomes a reality. So I hope you guys can, you know, appreciate me sharing this knowledge with you all. And anytime that you guys are in the process of creating something or wanting to create something, you know, you have to understand, like, planning and understanding of what it is that you're creating. There's a process. There's a design process. There's a thought process. You know, a lot of times when we're coming up with ideas, again, a lot of this stuff doesn't start out perfect, right? We go through several different iterations. We go through so many different changes when you're creating design that you wouldn't believe, like some of the stuff that gets thrown out before something actually becomes a reality. I mean, we go through so many different iterations a lot of times to create a lot of the things that, I mean, even creating like a basketball or a football, you know, or a baseball, it's still, there's a design process that goes behind that. Even if it's a small ball or a big ball, like the weight and how it bounces and, you know, all of these things, the physics behind that. We have to think about this as creatives. So on this channel, you know, I like to go through those sort of the thinking process, not so much of the final outcome, but the process. And I try to encourage others to enlighten themselves and get familiar with that, because it also helps you have a more appreciation for what it is that you're interacting with, right? And it also enlightens you on ways in which you can come up with ideas and you can begin to execute, because now you're starting to understand the design process. Now you're starting to understand the importance of the process, right? And then you can begin to apply that to your own project or whatever it is that you're working on, right? And when you can understand that thinking and how valuable that thinking is, then you're not lost, right? You're okay. You're in a steady flow. You're cool. You know, you're at ease because you understand the process. Respect and trust the process. It'll always get you there, no matter what. All right, guys. So hopefully you guys found this to be enlightening. Hopefully you guys find this to be intriguing, and it'll inspire you to work on your next design project. If you would like to learn how to draw, I have books listed below. I have books listed on Amazon. The information will be listed in the description below if you guys are interested. In the meantime, I want you guys to check out this next video. This next video, man, will blow your mind. So check that out, and peace, love, and everything. All right, guys. See you in the next video.